Whether you're trying to communicate with a chick, you're trying to communicate in business or networking, this is the perfect video for you, man. And if you really want to take it there with a woman, man, let's man, I'm giving so much fucking game. Niggas don't give a fuck about what you got going on. They give a fuck about what they got going on. And you must learn how to use that to your advantage. It doesn't matter what room you in, bro, you're gonna be able to adapt. You're gonna be able to talk to a motherfucker about anything. Like, oh my God, like you like Drake? Me too. Baby, I already know. I know! My point to you fellas is you want to remember names because you don't know who the fuck Colton is. Colton could be a CEO of Amazon, but when you start saying a girl's name in conversation, like she just like, if you start with what you agree with, you disarm her. When you're talking like this, when you're talking very high, she's gonna lose respect for you. She's gonna think you're a fucking dweeb. Her parents are gonna dry the fuck up. Look shorty right in her eyes. From a communication standpoint, you have to be up to par. It's gonna separate you from 99% of men. YouTube, what's good? It's your boy Cry. Welcome back to another vid. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for the algorithm. And make sure to follow me on all platforms that I am Cry. Today we got a great one, man. I'm gonna share with you guys how to master communication, man. This is gonna be a full guide. This was requested on the live, man, so y'all know I'm always gonna deliver. Communication is extremely important, man, and it's a skill. It's something that you have to build, just like discipline, just like your physique. You gotta build it with repetition, repetition, repetition. It's a lot of you guys that you're on this journey to become a 1% man, and on this journey, you know, you have to be able to communicate in business. You have to be able to communicate with women, right? And this is something I wasn't always good at. I wasn't always the best communicator, but over reps and time with trial and error, a lot of reading, a lot of studying psychology, I've learned a lot of things, and I'm gonna share those with you today. So whether you're trying to communicate with a chick, you're trying to communicate in business or networking, this is the perfect video for you fellas. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First tip to master communication, fellas, is active listening. One thing that's gonna take you a long way, fellas, is being genuinely interested in other people's conversations. You gotta understand, man, everybody is living in their own world. Like, you think about your life and how like you thinking about yourself all the time on an everyday basis, nigga, that's everybody, right? You walking down the street, somebody bump you, you think they being a dick, but they fucking parents is in the hospital or they going through a breakup. Like, everybody's in their own world, and you have to understand how to use that to your advantage, fellas. Like, I think about it like, think about when you take a group picture, right? Like, you take a picture with 10 people. What's the first thing you look at when you take the group picture? You look at yourself, right? So you got to know how to use this to your advantage in conversation. And the way to do that is understand that, fellas, every person you meet, man or women, they're seeking some type of empathy, sympathy, or validation, right? With anything in life, right? If it's a woman, she got her makeup on, she want to hear that her makeup look good, right? If it's a dad that got 4 kids, he want to feel sympathy that he working hard. Person at the gym, they want to feel validation for showing up, or if their physique has progressed over time. Like, those are things that we actively seek. You gotta feed people's ego. I would even argue that more so than validation, the sympathy and empathy aspect is even more important. Like, people just wanna feel understood. People wanna know like that they're not crazy. With my uncle, right? My uncle loves talking to me, man. Like, every time I'm with my uncle, we chatted up for about an hour, right? And the reason being is because not only can I relate to my uncle, but I show him empathy, right? So my uncle makes well over 6 figures, man of God, right? Has 4 kids, married to my auntie, you know what I'm saying? Great stand-up dude. And I understand as a man, like, that's a hard life. Like, when you providing for your family, when you a man of God, right? When you on your grind, on your craft, like, that's a hard life. And a lot of times when I see him, he's very, very tired. He's very, very exhausted. So me personally, even like, it's not fake, genuinely speaking, I empathize with that, right? I don't have no kids. I'm not married, but at the end of the day, shit, I be fucking exhausted being on my grind. So when I speak with him, I empathize that, I validate that. Like, when we in the conversation, I'm like, yeah, Unc, like, I feel you, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nobody gonna understand you, man, like X, Y, and Z. Like, I'm empathizing with him. That's why he loves talking to me. You can even do this with women to a certain extent. Like, let's say you meet a chick, right? And she talking to you and she talking about like how her ex did X, Y, and Z. Let's say, God forbid, her ex put his hands on her, right? Just saying something along the lines of like, man, that's crazy. Like, that nigga a bitch. That nigga should never put his hands on you. Just empathize with her. Validate that the way she feels is okay. So you're creating a safe space for people, and that's going to get them to talk and talk and talk. And depending on the situation, whether it's business or with a girl, that's going to benefit you. People love being around people that they feel safe with, that they can talk to, they can communicate with, that they can be an open book with. Another way to do this, fellas, that goes along with active listening is to ask questions based on what they're saying. So don't think about what to say while they talking, right? So if you're having a conversation with a young lady and she talking about like, yeah, I just got here, I'm really, really hungry. Like, don't ask her, okay, what you doing tonight? Like, be like, damn, like what you usually eat after gym? Or what you think you're gonna eat, right? And she said, I don't know, maybe Thai food. I really got some salmon at home. You can be like, oh, so you be cooking, you be throwing down, right? So I'm building off the conversation. I'm building. And a lot of times, even young crowd, when I would meet women, I would already have planned in my head what I'm gonna say. Like, hey, where you from? What's your name? What are you doing later on? Like, just already visualizing the conversation instead of just letting it flow. Fellas, it's very important to let it flow. And a way to do that is to be active with your listening, right? Ask questions not only based off their answers, but based on their interests as well. You can even throw in the validation within that. Like, I'm really giving y'all some game, man. Like, let's say that it's a dude, like a dude that you meet. Let's say eventually you want to do business with him. Y'all meet at the gym. Dude has a great physique. You can validate that. Be like, damn, bro, like your physique getting tougher and tougher, bro. Like, what you eat on a day-to-day basis, right? Like, what you got to understand, man, is like people love. Another thing that goes along with validation that's not talked about enough, how I mentioned that everybody is in their own world and everybody just is focused on them. Another thing that everybody's focused on is feeling like they're a good person, feeling like they can help people, right? So you got to understand that people love giving knowledge. People love giving game, right? A lot of times this is maybe too much game, but you can even play dumb and act like you don't know something and have somebody thinking they're helping you, but really you was already hit. But that's a different video for a different day, man. That's too much game, right? But let's say, you feel me? And then I asked him like, yo, man, what you been doing different? Like, he wants to give me game. He wants to help me, right? That's going to make him feel good. He's not helping me to make me feel good. That's going to make him feel good. Right? So you got to learn how to use different tactics, right? With validation and empathy, giving people compliments within a question or before a question. That's very, very key. By the end of the conversation, fellas, people are going to love talking to you, right? Like they're going to be like, wow, I love talking to this guy. Or she's going to be like, wow, I love speaking with him, right? And all you did was listen. You didn't say shit, right? Live by the 80-20 rule, fellas. All that means is that 80% of the time you listen, 20% of the time you talking. Right? Like when especially with chicks, fellas, like if I'm with a chick, like I'm not really saying shit, right? Like I'm listening. Like women love to talk. Women be caught up in their own world, bro. I promise you, man. And if you really want to take it there with a woman, man, man, I'm giving so much fucking game, bro. One thing you got to understand about women, man, women live for social media. Most women, right? Like social media is a very big component of their life, right? And what you can do, fellas, like let's say that she does hair, right? On social media, that's all she posts is hair, right? And when you with her and you having a conversation with her, you can just say something small like, yeah, I seen that video you did X, Y, and Z, or yeah, I see you just opened up a new shop, or yeah, I see you doing your thing with your hair. Like if you validate what a woman is doing on social media within communication and then just talk about that, let the conversation flow off that, it's gonna work wonders for you. I'm telling you, bro, it's really a gem. Right? But be careful with this, fellas. With the validation aspect, you don't always want to validate women. You want to validate within business. Like if you're networking, validation is great, especially if people are above you. But with women, be very selective with it. You don't want to give her too much. Again, if somebody getting ice cream every fucking day, eventually it's going to get nasty. So you don't want to lead with validation and continuously use it within conversation, but selective validation with social media, with the girl's interest, with what she's talking about, active listening, it's going to work wonders for you, bro. You're basically encouraging people to talk about their accomplishments. People love to brag, bro. People love to feel like they're doing good in life. Think about yourself, bro. Think about something that you've done. Think about you got a new job. Think about you got a new car, and then somebody just say, damn, like you doing your thing. Like that make you feel good about yourself, right? So use that to your advantage, right? Use that in business, right? Another thing that you got to understand, oh my fucking gosh, this is a lot of fucking game. Another thing you got to understand, fellas, in business, in networking, people that are above you, the people that like are better than you, the people that are in the top of their field, 9 times out of 10, they are very insecure, right? 48 Laws of Power talks a lot about this, right? So when somebody does something good and you validate them, right? They feel great about themselves. So you gotta understand that you gotta use that to your advantage while actively listening. Somebody talk about, yeah, I just put a down payment on a home, or like I'll be talking to my barber. My barber just got married, right? I was talking to my barber about getting married. Like that's a major accomplishment, bro. Like I was asking him questions about the wedding. I'm asking him questions about groomsmen. I'm asking him questions about the location. I'm asking all types of shit, bro. Like how he planned it, how he proposed. Nigga just start going on and on and on and on and on, right? And I'm building that relationship. Now my barber is like my nigga, right? Not because I was in that bitch, oh, I'm cry, I go to the gym, X, Y, and Z. Like he don't give a fuck about that. I'm asking about him, right? And now he fuck with me. Right? So stop always talking about yourself, actively listen. Niggas don't give a fuck about what you got going on. They give a fuck about what they got going on. And you must learn how to use that to your advantage. A mistake I used to make with this, fellas, is when people are talking, like sometimes you'll interrupt them, right? Like if you ask a person a question, let's say you ask them what they did yesterday and they say, yeah, I went to the gym. A lot of times younger crowd would be like, oh, I went to the gym too. What you hit? Like, let them finish out what they had to say. Because you got to understand that sometimes when people finish out what they're saying, they could say a couple things, right, that you can build off of, right? Rather, if I just interrupt and say, yeah, I went to the gym too, like, again, they don't give a fuck about that. They're talking. Let people finish, right? And another thing that goes along with that, fellas, when you actively listen, and you want to let people finish because they might want to ask you something as well, right? Especially, this is very important with women, right? The best way to know if she's interested is if she is asking you questions as well, right? So younger crowd will fuck up because I would just ask her a question right after she answered and not give a little bit of silence, right? Like think of just asking her name. Excuse me, what's your name? My name is Brittany. Pause for a second. Then if she don't ask you your name, she's probably not interested. But if she asks you your name, she's probably interested, right? And then the conversation continues to flow. Like, where you from? She tells me where she's from. Right? I may build off of that initially, like if she not from the area, I'd be like, damn, like what you doing out here, right? But then after that, I'm gonna pause for a second and see if she asks me like, oh, so are you from around here, right? Pause, let people finish out their sentences, because especially with women, you have to see if they're interested, and the way to see if she's interested is if she's asking you questions as well, fellas, especially in that first interaction. Moral of the story, fellas, the more you listen and ask questions based on their interests, the better. In business, in networking, and with women, fellas. It's a gem. Number 2, be well versed. Fellas, knowing a little bit about everything will take you so far in business and so far in life. Like, I'm a very humble guy, fellas, but one thing I can say, this is probably one of my biggest strengths, right? I can talk to a nigga from the hood about fucking ants crawling on the ground, right? Like when I was living with my dad in Shaker for a certain part of time, I was sleeping, there was fucking ants on the ground, right? Cockroaches and shit, right? I could talk to a nigga about fucking battle rap. I can talk to a nigga about Alex Hormozy. I can talk to a nigga about the stock market. I can talk to a nigga about sales. I can talk to a nigga about God. Like, I'm very well versed, right? So it doesn't matter what room you put me in, I'm gonna be able to adapt, right? And that's why I always say a man that knows everything knows nothing at all. If you're not constantly trying to improve yourself with reading, learning about different industries, learning about the stock market, learning about finance, at least being up to date with what's trending on social media, right? All of those things are extremely important, bro, because you want to be well versed, especially in business. The worst thing you can do is somebody, you've having a casual conversation with somebody and they talking to you about something and you don't know nothing about it, right? Like, you can impress people with shit like that, bro. Like, in my last job, I was having a conversation with my CEO, and he's a big Alex Hormozy fan. And Alex Hormozy always talks about, like, scheduling blocks and blocking out your calendar. And Alex Hormozy is big, you know, talking about, like, putting your, having your meetings on Monday, and then the rest of the week you focus on, you know, high leverage tasks that are going to make you the most money, right? And my CEO is talking about this, and he had forgot, like, a component within that, and I said it, and he was extremely impressed. He was like, damn, like, how do you know that? Little did he know, I'm a huge Alex Hormozy fan as well. So that's why it's very important to just be knowledgeable, bro. Like, seek knowledge, bro, because it doesn't matter what room you in, bro. You're going to be able to adapt. You're going to be able to talk to a motherfucker about anything. You got to understand that people buy from who they like, right? And a way for somebody to like you is if you have similar interests to them, if you know what they're talking about, if they can have an intellectual conversation with you, if they can have a funny conversation with you, right? And that comes with being well-versed. Like, I'll give you an example, man. When I used to do fitness consulting, I had a fitness client, right? And this client was done with his program. Like, he already had transformed his physique, but he kept paying me monthly, not because he wanted to keep getting knowledge, not because he needed my help so bad, but because he enjoyed talking to me, bro. We would meet on Zoom calls, fellas, weekly. My Zoom calls would be 30 minutes. We would be on there for like an hour because he just loved speaking to me because I was well-versed. Anything he talked about, I knew about it, and I knew how to active listen and ask some questions to build upon that, right? So he liked talking to me so much. Even when he got his transformation, he was just like, bro, I want to stay in the program. Why did he do that? Because I was well-versed, because I was actively listening. Another gem with communication, fellas, is to study your victims. I'll give an example with business and I'll give an example with women. In business, when I used to be 9 to 5 cry, I used to study and prepare for my interviews, right? And I always would study the person that I'm interviewing with, right? So for my last job, during my first interview, I studied the person I was interviewing with, went on his LinkedIn, and I realized that he was a huge reader, right? I'm a huge reader, right? So he actually had a book list. So I clicked the book list, and it was a lot of the books that I read. I think one of them was Atomic Habits, right? So I said, okay, cool. At the end of the interview, fellas, I know he's gonna ask me if I have any questions. I walk into the interview, my plan was to ask him a question in regards to that book. Like, what was your biggest takeaway from Atomic Habits, right? But he ended up asking me what my favorite book was. So since I knew that he read Atomic Habits, since I did my research, since I studied my victim, you wanna know what I said, fellas? Atomic Habits. Right? His face lit up like, oh my gosh, Atomic Habits, that's one of my favorite books, right? He thinking that we done built a rapport. He thinking that we got great chemistry when in reality, nigga, I just did my research. I know you like that book. And it happens to be that I genuinely like that book. Right? I could have said any other book. My favorite book is 48 Laws of Power. But I didn't say that. I said Atomic Habits, right? Because I knew he would connect with it. Right? So you got to study your victim. This is very important in business. Like before you go to a networking event, before you get on a call for a mentorship, anything in business and networking, study your victims, bro. It's going to take you so far. And with the active listening, with the conversating, with the being well-versed, you can even bring that up slightly in conversation, right? I'll give an example with women, fellas. Let's say that I meet a chick, fellas, and we exchange Instagrams, right? And you know women, they always got the stories on their Instagram of everything they did, whether it's food, the gym, going out of town. They got like the stories on their profile page, right? So me being hip on communication, me being hip on game, me being hip on studying my victim, I'm gonna go watch that story, bro. If she posting a Drake song, or if she posting a Party Next Door song, or any song, period, something that I like, right? Or if I see that she just likes music, I like music, right? So the next time I speak to that girl, I'm gonna talk about music, right? Or I could say something along the lines of, man, this Drake album hard. She'll be like, oh my God, like you like Drake? Me too. Baby, I already know. I know. I watched the story. You keep posting the same songs from the same album. So I'm gonna bring it up, right? Because I study my victim. Right? You can even take it a step further, fellas. Shorty posts a song on her story. She get in the car with you. Play the song. Play the song. Right? She gonna be thinking like, oh my gosh, like how does he know these songs? Like fellas, one of the best, my best tactic with game is music, bro. I'm a big music guy, so this might not work for everyone, but women love music. Like, if you play a song a chick know in the car or can vibe to in the car, and next thing you know, she pulling out her phone, making stories and shit. Like, women love that, right? But you got to study them, right? Study your victim, especially if this is a chick you really like, especially if this is a chick you're trying to pursue. Overall, fellas, expand your worldview, man. Listen to different music. Listen to different podcasts. Watch different types of movies. Learn about the stock market. Learn about AI, right? Just be well-versed, bro. It's going to take you a long fucking way. The more you know, the more dangerous you are, fellas. And that's a very important step on this journey to become a 1% man. Number 3, names. This is twofold, fellas. First, what I mean by names is when you meet someone, always remember their name. It will take you a long fucking way. This is something I just started doing when I moved to Dallas. Every person I meet in Dallas, I remember their name and something to associate their name with them, whether it was something they said or something they're wearing, right? And the reason that this is so important, man, is that people want to feel important. People have an ego, right? When you remember their names, that's boosting their ego, right? That's boosting their level of importance to you. I met this guy 2 months into moving in my complex now. His name is Colton, right? We met at the pool. We spoke for like 2 minutes, right? I was reading a book. He came over and was like, hey man, I'm Colton. I never seen you before. Boom, real cool guy, right? I hadn't seen the dude for about 6 months, right? Next thing I know, I'm leaving out my apartment. I'm going to the gym. He's coming my way, right? I can tell if he was walking, he didn't know if I remembered him or not because it's been so long. I'm like, what's going on, bro? Colton, right? He was like, wow, you remember. Like his whole face lit up, right? My point to you fellas is you want to remember names because you don't know who the fuck Colton is. Colton could be a CEO of Amazon. Colton could put you on to some game. Colton could invite you to a business meeting. Colton could change your fucking life. You don't know who people are, right? So always remember people's names, bro. It's going to let them know like, damn, like this dude remember me, right? This dude makes me feel good about myself, all because you remembered they fucking name. It's something so small, but so fucking valuable. Some of y'all can relate. Like if you see somebody and you ain't seen them for a long time, or you see a stranger and they remember your name, it make you feel good, bro. Right? So validate that. Learn how to use that to your advantage. Always remember names, man. It's going to take you so far, especially in business. On the other side of the coin with names, say people's names while in conversation, especially with women. Fellas, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I actually don't know what it is. But when you start saying a girl's name in conversation, like she just like, she falls fucking in love with you. I don't know what it is, fellas. Like let's say I'm talking to a chick, man, her name Brittany. I don't know why the fuck I keep using Brittany. I don't even know no fucking bitch named Brittany, right? Let's say I'm talking to Brittany and she talking to me. I'm like, man, Brittany, you crazy. Right? Or just little side comments, but I'm saying her name. I don't know what it is. Like she could say something funny. Come on, Brittany. Right? Very subtle. Right? Like I don't know what it is, fellas. I don't, but literally try it. It's worked wonders for me. Like I don't know what it is, but when you say a female's name in conversation consistently, or even if you give them a nickname, it's a different topic for a different video. I ain't gonna give y'all that much game today. But if you just call her first name, fellas, periodically in conversation, they love that. I don't know what it is, but it fucking works. I promise you. Number 4, a big part of communication is conflict, fellas. How do you handle disagreements and arguments, right? So I'm gonna give y'all some game within this as well. In business and with women, it's better to praise before giving criticism. My manager at one of my previous jobs was very, very good with this. I would pick up on her doing this all the time, right? So like, she wouldn't necessarily do this with me, but she would do it with other people within my role. So I would see her speak to people and she'd say, hey, so-and-so, I see you had 12 interviews this week. Like you're doing a great job. She'd praise them. She'd say, I'd love for you to be more communicative with hiring managers for the second interviews, right? Let's say the person was fucking up scheduling interviews after the first interview. Right? So she led with praise first before she gave the criticism. That's very, very important, especially as a leader, right? And especially with women, right? Like in my last relationship, fellas, my ex could cook really, really good, but sometimes she wouldn't make enough food for me to hit my macros, right? So not being hip on communication, crowd would have been like, damn, babe, like, can you start cooking more food? Or damn, like, why you making this small food? Or why you keep cooking so little? Right? Not being hip on game, right? But with women, you can't talk to women how you talk to your nigga, like how you get on your nigga or something, like to be better or push him or be competitive. Women aren't like that. This is something I had to learn, fellas, right? So when she was cooking the small portions, I said, baby, you've been throwing down in the kitchen, like you really doing your thing. I'm trying to gain some weight right now and put on some muscle. Like, do you mind making a little bit bigger portions for me so I can hit those macros? Yeah, baby, of course. Right? Because I led with the praise force. I disarmored her, right? I let her know that, damn, baby, you throwing down, but at the same time, I need more food in a respectful manner, in a smooth manner, in a charismatic manner. You dig what I'm saying? So always lead with praise first, unless it's like one of your niggas, unless it's somebody you ain't got to do the bullshit with. Like me and my niggas, like if he bullshitting in the gym, I'd be like, come on, bro, you tripping, right? But in business and with women, lead with praise first. Stop talking to your girl and your business partner like they your guy. That's not how you communicate. That's not how you master communication. One thing to also keep in mind is proving something through action is way better than proving it within words. What do I mean by that? Fellas, everybody thinks they're right. You're very rarely going to convince somebody to change their mind with communication. You have to show them with action. I'll give you an example, fella. With my last relationship, I'm waking up at 5 a.m. every day to work on my business, work on my craft. A lot of times she would vent to me and say, I don't have enough time to do X. I don't have enough time to do Y. I said, hey, baby, you should just wake up earlier. Wake up at 5. The same thing I preached to y'all, right? She didn't want to do it. So I didn't keep nagging her about it wake up at 5, wake up at 5. I just showed her, right? So as she's seeing me wake up at 5, she's seeing me progress with my business. She's seeing me progress with my standards in real time, right? What you got to understand is people want to figure out things by themselves, right? So instead of me nagging her get up, get up, get up, she saw me keep doing it, and eventually she started doing it, right? You got to understand, people want to figure shit out on their own rather than you telling them. People have an ego, right? People want to feel like they know everything. So let them do that. Just prove it by actions, bro. It's going to work wonders for you. Also, winning through actions instead of arguments proves that you're right without the conflict, right? So I proved to her baby, when you wake up at 5, you can get more done without continuously nagging her about it. She just saw it, right? So it didn't bruise her ego and she still learned. Another thing, fellas, in disagreements in business networking and with women, and from a communication standpoint, your first reaction is your worst reaction. This is what women do. Women, whatever they think in a disagreement, they say it right away. Something that they're mad about, they texting you right away. Right? Fellas, what I want to tell you is that as a man, you must remain stoic and remain in frame at all times. I'm not saying that you're not going to feel emotions, but you have to understand how to control them. Your first reaction is often your worst reaction. So if y'all in an argument, shorty send a text, sit on it for 5 to 10 minutes, right? If you are a leader and one of your employees do some dumb shit and you want to write them an email, sit on it for 5 minutes, right? Because a lot of times your emotions will take over, man. You want to remain stoic. And again, oftentimes you got to lead with praise within your criticism, right? So shorty in here yelling at you, X, Y, and Z, why you do this? Why you do that? Yelling. You might want to yell back. Sit there, relax, take it all in for a second, for 10, 15 minutes, decompress, and then verbalize, right? You don't want to communicate in conflict and in a disagreement with emotion. That's how the dumb shit start. Arguments become bigger arguments. Right? That's how you end up getting fired from your job, right? That's how you end up missing out on a business opportunity, right? Because you don't know how to handle conflict. This is a major gem. I think this is a great example with women, fellas. When you arguing with a chick, right? Let's say this is something I'm very, very good at. If you arguing with a chick, fellas, and she's telling you all these things of how you made her feel, let's say that you agree with 40% of it, but the other 60% you don't agree with as far as what she said. When it's your turn to speak, always start with the 40% that you agree with, right? Andrew Tate does a great job at this. Watch an interview with Andrew Tate when he's at a panel with women and you'll see what I'm talking about. But basically, fellas, I'm going to be damn, baby, I agree with X, Y, and Z. I could have said this better. I shouldn't have did that. You 100% right with that. I take full accountability, right? Starting off with what I agree with her with. And when you do that, fellas, I'm disarming her, right? So she was so mad, venting. And once I start with, baby, I agree with you, she oh, shit. He understands, right? Then after I tell her I understand, I then calmly go into the points I disagree in a respectful manner. Right? This will take you a long way because if you start with let's say I start with the 60%. Let's say I start with, man, you tripping. I don't agree with none of that shit. X, Y, and Z. You got me fucked up, bro. Now she gonna start yelling back, arguing back. What you mean I'm tripping? Boom, 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 boom. Start repeating the same shit she said. But if you start with what you agree with, you disarm her. You relax her. And depending on your voice inflection with what you say that you don't agree with, she'll validate your point as well. She'll be like, damn, crowd, you right. Right? So always start with the points you agree with first in argument and in conflict when you're having that conversation dynamic. Again, staying calm is key. It's a quote I live by. The sun can make you take off your coat faster than the wind. Right? So the wind is the chaos. The wind is the yelling. The wind is repeatedly telling her something instead of letting my actions tell her something, right? The sun is my actions. The sun is me staying calm. The sun will always make you take off your coat faster than the wind. Keep that in mind, fellas. To conclude from a conflict aspect, fellas, control your emotions, stay calm, argue with action, not words. Start with the points that you agree with first, and always give a sense of understanding. Like, damn, baby, I understand the way you feel. If I was you, I would feel the same way. Before I get into my point. That's very, very important. Number 5 is persuasion, right? A big part of communication is getting motherfuckers to want to do what you want them to do, right? Especially in business. And the mistake that younger crowd made in business, fellas, I would always be thinking about myself. Again, niggas don't give a fuck about you. Let's say, for an example, man, let's say, I think about it when I did fitness consulting. I wanted to get money from this person, right? So the dumb way to do that is say, hey, I want to train you because I'm trying to get this money, right? Rather than focusing on what they want, right? Like, do you want to look this way by the summer? Do you want to lose X amount of pounds? Do you want to feel more confident? I'm focusing on their pain points, right? When you're trying to persuade somebody, they don't give a fuck about what you want. They want to know what they're getting out of it, right? So that's a mistake a lot of people make, especially when they ask for help. They be like, yeah, I need you to help me with this. What are they getting out of it? What value are they getting out of it? Right? So that's very important with communication from a persuasion aspect. You gotta understand, fellas, your needs don't matter, especially the people that are higher than you. Especially when you asking somebody for help that's above you in a certain level, in a certain business, in a certain industry. You have to provide some type of value to them for them to help you. Stop leading with, oh, can you help me do this? Highlight how something can benefit them while also benefiting you. It will take you a long way from a communication aspect. Another key with persuasion, fellas, and this is great in sales and even with women to a certain extent, is the yes ladder, right? So there is a study that showed that the more you get a person saying yes, yes, yes in conversation, better chances that they'll buy from you, right? So this is something that I used to do when I did fitness consulting, right? So in the beginning of a fitness call, let's say I'm trying to close the deal, right? I would ask them all these questions, gain all this insight about him. Let's say it was a guy, he used to be in shape, but he fell off. He feels unconfident. He has no dating life. He's usually consistent with the gym, but he falls off with his nutrition, right? So to end the call, once I'm about to tell them before I tell them my price, I want to get them saying yes, 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 right? So once they tell me all this shit they're going through, I would say, so it sounds like you want to improve your confidence. They would say yes. And I'll say, you also are typically, locked in on the fitness aspect, but you're falling off with your nutrition. Yes. Then I would ask them, your dating life has been majorly affected by this and you want to make a change so you can attract the woman that you want. Yes, right? All I did was ask them back everything they already told me to get those yeses, right? And once they got those yeses, I don't know what it is, fellas. It's a study. This is literally facts. This is not cry. This is facts. Them saying yes 3 times increases the probability that they're going to buy at the end of the call. So this is extremely important in the persuasion of sales. The yes ladder. Get people saying yes. Ask questions to make them say yes. You even see this like if you go to like Target or something and it's a nigga there, how they be having the kiosks like selling Wi-Fi or selling phones or shit like in Target. Like they do the same tactic. They want to get you saying yes. Do you have a cell phone? Yes. Do you use the internet? Yes. They're asking you dumb questions that say yes. Do you feel like you pay too much for X, Y, and Z? Yes. Right? I done said yes 3 times. Now I'm already engaged in the conversation. Now they can pitch to me their service. Right? So this is extremely important. This is a major gem. Number 6, tone. Fellas, with your tone, you want to have a lower voice, a deeper tone, because that symbolizes respect. When you're talking like this, when you're talking very high, she's going to lose respect for you. She's going to think you're a fucking dweeb. Her parents are going to dry the fuck up. Slow the fuck down, right? You see it when I'm talking to women on these vlogs. I'm very calm. I'm very relaxed. I'm not talking how I talk when I'm doing these fucking presentations to y'all. When I'm doing these whiteboard videos, it's very smooth. It's very relaxed. It's very slow, right? The slower that you talk, fellas, and the lower that you talk, that breeds a sense of confidence, right? When I think about unconfident cry, regardless of the situation, I was talking really, really fast and I would even inflect my voice. Never inflect your voice with women, right? In business, it's okay sometimes, right? But with women, low tone, slow, period. The moment you start talking high and talking fast, it subconsciously symbolizes that you're weak. I used to do it, right? I think about times I used to get around a baddie and I'm, hey babe, what's your name? Oh my gosh, you're so beautiful. Like, slow the fuck down. If I would have just said like, damn, baby, like, you look good. and paused and waited till she said something, I'd have been straight, right? So don't get it confused, fellas. Yes, I come up here and I got a lot of energy and I'm talking with a lot of projection in my voice. But when I'm talking with women, and even in business, I'm a lot more calm. I'm a lot more stoic. I'm speaking a lot slower. My voice is a lot lower, right? So fix your tone. This is extremely important. Number 7, I don't know if y'all can see it, but it doesn't fucking matter. Body language. This is extremely important, right? Younger cry, I'm talking to a chick, I'm leaning on something. I'm walking in the rooms like this, right? She talking to me, I'm looking around, my hands in my pocket when I'm in a business meeting, like stand up straight, chest out, eyes forward, always making eye contact, fellas. This is a subconscious way of being a presence of dominance, in the presence of I'm confident, right? Shorty talking to you and you looking down, you looking away, you looking at your phone, like look Shorty right in her eyes. Like, oh yeah. Well, I mean, it was a pleasure speaking with you, man. I'd love to take you out on Saturday if you're free. Right? Smooth, calm, relaxed. I'm in frame. I'm not slouched over. Like, that's extremely important. Right? Your body language is extremely important. Another thing, especially in business, this is something my uncle taught me at a young age. Firm handshakes. Right? I take that back. This is with everything, fellas. Whether it's a man or a woman, firm handshakes. Right? For a lot of times I used to think like, damn, like, should I shake a girl's hand how I shake a man's hand? Yes. That subconsciously lets her know that you're dominant. That subconsciously lets her know you're a masculine man. That subconsciously lets her know you're alpha, right? Just a firm handshake, even with a woman, but especially with men too. And you meet a new person in business and networking or a friend, strong handshake, strong daps, right? This is very important, especially for y'all young men. Like y'all might not know that. Always have firm handshakes, bro. When you making that handshake, look the person right in their eye. Firm handshake right in their eye. Not firm handshake, look down. Firm handshake, look away. Firm handshake right in their eye. I'm Cry. Nice to meet you. Boom. Another thing with body language, fellas, is that a smile will take you a long fucking way. There's also studies. This is something you can look up. This is not fucking cry talking. People that smile more tend to sell better, manage better, and teach better. Right? So always smile, man. Like, especially in business, like greet with a firm handshake, eye contact, good posture, and a smile. That will take you a long way, because what you got to understand is people feed off energy. If I meet somebody that's in a bad mood and I just smile, like I'm smiling and greet them with enthusiasm and positivity, like even if they're having a bad day, they got to come up to my level a little bit. That's just human nature. People will mirror your energy. Another gem with body language. Oh my fucking goodness. I'm cooking right now, right? Is the mirror effect, right? So you can use this with your words or with your body language. Let's start with the body language aspect first. Let's say that a girl keeps like, oh, Cry, touching you, right? Do it to her. Subtle though, like you don't have to do the same exact thing, but touch her as well. Breaking that physical touch barrier, right? So if a girl touchy-feely, you can be a little touchy-feely too, right? Same thing with communication. Like, fellas, oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many times I've fucking done this, man. Like, fellas, a lot, and especially with women, man, women online or when you meet a girl, she'll say certain words. Like she has a lingo, right? A phrase that women love to use is I'm just a girl. Right? You hear girls say that all the time online. It's I'm just a girl, right? So me knowing that women say that, or me hearing a girl continuously say that, I'm gonna validate that that's raw, that she's saying that within my communication, right? So let's say that like, baby, we about to go to X, Y, and Z to eat. I ain't wanna ask you where you wanted to go because you just a girl. You don't wanna think about it. Like on some joke shit, but I'm saying something she says. You get what I'm saying? Like it subconsciously makes them think like, man, this nigga just like me, or this person just like me. Right? But really you're not. You're just mirroring what they say. Right? That is a major gem with body language and with communication. These are the 7 cardinal rules of communication, fellas. And again, communication is vital in this life. You got to be able to communicate with women. You got to be able to communicate with men in business and networking, everything, man. Communication is very important. And I would say, fellas, this is a topic that's not talked about enough and an area where a lot of men lack. Right? Like I'm in the field. I see how men talk to girls. Like women tell me how men talk to them. Like they be stuttering. They don't know what to say. They keep saying, you know what I'm saying? In every sentence, they like put LOL after every text. Like Bro, from a communication standpoint, you have to be up to par. It's gonna separate you from 99% of men, fellas. So take this game, don't just take it in, put it into action. And the only way to put it into action is to get better with reps. Start remembering people's names, start smiling more, start doing firm handshakes, start actively listening. Stop going into conversations knowing what you're about to say. Let it flow. Speak low, speak slow, have a good tone, right? Put these things into action, fellas, and I'm telling you, your confidence is gonna grow and grow and grow with communication, fellas. So that's the video for today. I love y'all. Peace.